are many people in Northern Ireland who would have much preferred the Special Criminal Court than the kangaroo courts that you guys oversaw for many, many years. And that disappeared people like Jean McConville, that kneecapped hundreds and hundreds and thousands of young people. It's the height of hypocrisy.
And what did you do
it's
about
the height
that,
of hypocrisy for you to parade yourself as a civil libertarian,
what did you do
objecting
about that,
to the Special Criminal
what did
Court,
you do about that?
when in fact
you
knew
scoring
and you
points.
oversaw. I'm not scoring points. You always say that when you don't like
You're making false accusations.
I'm not making false accusations.
Yes, you are.
Look at the programme on Spotlight recently.
In terms of...
So there was no young people kneecapped?
Deal with the reality that two men were killed.
I didn't interrupt you.
You didn't interrupt me. You were telling downright
I did not interrupt
lies,
you.
and you know it.
And you can't allow me to say some home truths to you.
If we had listened to what Micheál said about the North, there would be no institution in place. He wanted the suspension of the institution.
You admitted to me in the Dáil, having attacked me like you're attacking me now, you eventually admitted in the Dáil, you crawled in and admitted that yes, there was IRA.
I never crawled into the Dáil in my life.
You
admitted
admitted that there was IRA internal courts to deal with child abusers. You admitted that on the floor of Dáil.
Everybody knows
what rights had those people who were abused by members of the Republican
and is that the answer?
What rights had they?
Is that the answer to the mess you created in the Garda Síochána?
It's some neck for you to say that you cannot. It's some neck for you to say we cannot trust our judiciary. I trust our judiciary. I trust on Garda Síochána. And when Dermot Ahern changed the Special Criminal Court legislation to ensure we could bring organised crime within its remit, he did it because jurors were going to be intimidated. And the state solicitor in Limerick, yes, it did.
Did it work? So two people weren't killed last week. So there isn't a drugs epidemic in our cities and villages and towns.
In the Limerick situation, along with other measures in Limerick.
Quick question.
And I think this is very important because you have not answered the question. How do you prevent the intimidation of jurors facing these kind of killers?
Is the reason that you are not willing to countenance Sinn Féin in government is that you don't trust them on the security of the state? Is that the reason? Because you're so close together on other issues, maybe?
No. There's attempts being made, and Joan through a simple line. We will not go into government with Sinn Féin because of the reasons I just outlined there.
The politicians here could learn a lesson from the unionists, who have more reason to distrust Sinn Féin. Ian Paisley can go into government with Mark McGuinness, and Peter Robinson can go into government, and Arlene Foster can go into government with Mark McGuinness.
In fairness, Gerry, that is the system, the Jahan system, that forces you all together.
Northern Ireland is a failed entity.
Do you know who will make the conversation about who goes into government? Not Micheál. The citizens who give us a mandate, which is as good as anybody else's.
We can decide
what
Can we hear from the Taoiseach Enda Kenny on this one?
I've been
very patient here.
Joan,
I've been very patient here. First, let me deplore the threats to the lives of INM journalists by criminal gangs in Dublin. This is disgraceful. It should not stand up in any democracy. Gerry Adams was never a member of the IRA. He never heard or knew anything about safe houses in the Republic where people were sexually abused, despite the public statements of public representatives. We've had people beaten to death, every bone in their body, in cattle yards in the north. He now tells us he sees criminal gangs driving on myriads of byroads in the border area. We should do something about this. I agree with Deputy Adams that Fianna Fáil closed down Templemore. I recall those who murdered Gerry McCabe. I recall the judge's statement about the gross intimidation of witnesses. I recall that charge was reduced to manslaughter. I recall who picked them up when they were released. Deputy Adams, you can rest assured that Fine Gael and Labour in government will continue to see that the Gardaí are employed, appointed and resourced. We've reopened Templemore. And secondly, there will be a second criminal court to deal with the backlog. We cannot tolerate this. Gerry, you have a story to tell, and you're not telling the truth about lots of
You, Taoiseach, have not told the truth of your government's record of broken promise after broken promise after broken promise.
Well,
and not least...
I could agree with you here in this sense that
explain about the debacle. Explain about the debacle.
Fianna funded 50 vehicles. Last year, the government supported 720 new vehicles for Gardaí.
Look, just go,
Taoiseach, but the problem on the table so that they could upgrade their
the problem is you're totally disconnected. You're not knocking on any doors at all. It's obvious.
You closed down Templemore.
And you kept it going for 4 years. But you kept disclosure going for 4 years.
In your programme,
you kept the moratorium going for 4 years.
Not only that, here's something else for you. You also said that Gardaí should be turned out of Templemore quicker than they are. And you also put in that it should be 500 Gardaí you'd like to see trained, whereas we're turning out 6 and we'll continue to do that.
We're saying we should go to a strength of 15.
But can I just say to you, Taoiseach, that if you had spent the money, 56 million on overtime last year, on new Gardaí working regular hours, you'd have had 1,000 extra Gardaí on the street.
Well, we've had the Garda Inspector's report, which has recommended that over 1,000 Gardaí could be released on duty, and I think that's something being worked on. And secondly, the government have committed now to the appointment of 300 specialist civilians, so that Gardaí doing duty in offices can be released also. And we've set up the Special Criminal Bureau. CAB is there for many years following the tragedy of the shooting of Veronica.
But yet there are guys driving around in Maseratis that CAB hasn't touched. Why not?
Yes. Well, operational matters are for the Garda Commissioner. Whatever the Garda Commissioner requires, the government will provide. We will put an end to this.
Micheál Martin, you have suggested a new serious and organised crime unit. It's as if, like, the first series of Love-Hate went out when you were in government.
Yeah.
You know, so this is nothing new. No, so you didn't do it then.
Well, we did actually, in terms of the Limerick gangs and so on. That was a very successful operation, putting a lot of people behind bars. I agree with the Taoiseach in terms of this has taken a sinister turn in terms of the threats to the journalists and the Irish Independent. This is a direct attack on our state and on our society. You threaten journalists, you threaten all of us. And I acknowledge that in 2009, in the teeth of the crash and the crisis, yes, there was a moratorium on recruitment, but they kept the moratorium going for 4 years. And the problem is, I'm talking to Gardaí every day, and they're saying to us in the privacy of their homes, like they don't get it when politicians say, oh, there's this 500 cars. They don't see it, Taoiseach. In large terrains across this country, there's one squad car per night covering that terrain. Before these appalling murders, there was a real issue with burglary. We were saying it to you day in and day out in Dáil for the last 3 years. We've been saying to you there's a problem with burglary, and you keep on denying it. You keep on denying it.
It's incredible how your memory is gone.
If I have to say, the tirade and the rant of half-truths and propaganda against Sinn Féin from these 3 people will bring very little comfort to those folks tonight who want to see a guard on the beat, who want to see community safety, who want to be safe in their own homes. And you can't back away from the fact that between you cut Garda numbers. Now, you had a choice, but you decided, as you decided in other matters, to give... Sorry, let me finish.
600 a year.
Taoiseach, please.
You have 1,100 extra guards.
Billions to the banks. Billions to the banks. Billions to the banks. Even a fraction of that going into any of these public services.
Guys, we're going to move on to other matters.
And law and order.
We want to move on to something else.